Right, guess what we're looking at here? We've got one of those blooming BMW 1300 things. The GS. Because they haven't got a GSA yet. Just leaving Ocean BMW in Falmouth. They've let us have the bike for a bit of a ride around on it. So this is our first impressions. Now, Dave, the salesman, has just given us a run around on the bike. I'm just trying to work out how this windscreen works. Because it's an electric windscreen. Look at that rascal. Oh, how exciting. Anyway, right, so BMW 1300. Everyone's raving about it. So what's it like to ride? Well, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. But I feel like we did when we had the 1200 and then went to the 1250 and everyone was going, oh, this is fun, you know, this is what we have to have, Yeah, it'd be nice to have. Don't necessarily think you need it now, but it's definitely a nice bike. It feels a lot smaller in size, which it is, and what they've done, they've reduced the actual overall length of it, and if you imagine, they've sort of gone like that with it, so they've shoved everything forwards and up a little bit, and there's some major changes. They've reduced the weight, but not by a massive amount. I mean, everyone's raving about the amount of weight. I think, I'm not sure if it's about 12 kilos or something like that. Well, you know, it's not a huge amount. However, that means they've reduced the size of the tank from 20 litres to 19 point something, but they still get the same mileage out of it. Apparently, it's still get the same range. Lots of it, bits and pieces are similar. They're not the same. I mean, the switchgear is similar. It's been changed around a little bit. Things like the electric screen, that's a nice touch. The menu is phenomenal. We'll talk about that when we stop, because it's just so much to take in. But I actually like it a lot to ride. It sounds different than the 1250 or the 1200. You've still got the GPS in front of you, which I always like. You know, I'm not a big fan of these ones that are on the screen, on the TFT screens, because I like to look up and just have that in my peripheral vision. The quick shifter is massively improved over the 1200s and the 1250s. In the 1250s and 1200s, they used to have between 1 and 2. It was a bit notchy, you know. It was easier to change up using the clutch, and then, you know, all the way up to the top then was sometimes a little bit agricultural. Well, this has now changed. It's now very, very, very smooth. Although it's not perfect. It's not. Let's be honest. It's not completely sorted out any of the issues, but you know, they're working on it. The TFT screen is the same, similar to all the ones that you'll see on the 1200s and the 1250s. It's, you know, it's pretty standard screen really. What has changed is the information you can bring up on it. You can use the navigation through the BMW Connected app, which is greatly improved. They still got the BMW Nav 6, but we will be looking at the newest BMW sat-nav, which we did try to put on here, but we got carried away and just left without fitting it, so we're halfwards. But yeah, so this is the triple black version. There's a nice green version. Is it a 719 colour scheme they use or something? I can't remember. And the blue one, the rally one, I think is going to be the most popular. GSA is not going to come out for a while, so this is all you're going to get for a long time. But you know, this is an awesome bike. It's comfortable. I feel it is as comfy as my GSA. You know, you sort of get back on your own bike and you go, oh, it's comfy. But I got on this and I thought, you know, this is just as good. It's really quite a nice seating position. I do like the electric screen. Mirrors are the same, nothing changed there. We are basically looking at the same hydraulic clutch and brake things, although they do look a bit smaller. Certainly the brake one is a bit flatter, the actual reservoir, and the clutch one is a lot smaller. Things to note about this are they've got rid of those horrible orange lights that are on all the time, which are for the American market, I believe. They've taken them off, but the indicators are now in the hand guards, and they're very bright, really bright. On the rear lights, they've still got the integral stop indicator lights, which, you know, we know everybody hates them. BMW know everybody hates them, but they haven't done anything about it, although they are a little bit brighter and not as obscured as they were on some of the other bikes we reviewed. It's a really nice ride. Toby's going to love it when he gets on it. You'll see the screen down below, it's got these black deflectors. Some of the deflectors look a bit weird. Obviously it's different, you know. The bike seems to be more pointed towards the front. If you imagine the old battle buses, they're like very blunt, I think is the best way to describe them. This is seems to be more pointed. And we're talking to Dave the salesman, and he was pointing out that on the old 1250s, if you were riding in crappy weather like we are today, you'd be absolutely covered in gubbins up the back of your legs when you got off. But on this you don't, because what they've done is the little shroud that goes over the rear wheel, that's particular to BMWs, what they've done is they've done some adjustments to that, and now all the stuff that would have been flung up the back of the wheel and up the back of your legs apparently gets funneled back down and away. And he was trying to explain it to me, and basically I had a feel around, bit of mudguard fondling, and there seems to be a lip there and a channel inside the back between the mudguard and the wheel on the mudguard, and I think what it's doing is just channeling all the water away. So this bike's fitted with Metzeler Tourance Next 2 tyres, which are awesome tyres. I'm glad they've gone away from the blooming awful A41s and things like that. Just as an aside, on my GSA at the moment, I've got Avon Trail Riders coming up to 7,000 miles on them, and they are brilliant. No sign of wear yet, but Next 2s will be my go-to tyre. I've got a set of Mutants to go on my bike again, but I think I'll be looking at Metzelers when I finish that. So I'm really glad they've gone to Metzeler tyres, because they are an awesome tyre. Gone away from the trellis framework, if you want. If you look at the actual bike from the side, which we'll do in a minute when we stop, you'll notice that there's a lot more filling in, so it's a lot easier to clean. And it's all die-cast now, which has allowed them to shed some of the weight and make it a bit easier to, you know, for looking after, because there's nothing worse. I mean, my bike gets cleaned as and when, because I can't be bothered wasting hours trying to get it all clean again, you know. I think the dirt insulates it in the end, it just gets that dirty. But this is all panelled in, and it looks really quite nice. Some people have commented and said the bike looks like a Honda NC 750, and I think they're right. The actual shape of it does give that impression, but I like it. I really do like it. Oh my word, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. The step up from the 1200 to the 1250 and the power it produces is pretty phenomenal, I thought. And I know the detractors, everyone says, oh, you don't need such a big bike. Well, you don't necessarily, but the step up from the 1250 to this is another in a different ballpark again. It's really quite something. So we're just going to see if we can stop here. Loads of engine braking on it, as you would imagine. Oh, it does sound nice. It sounds lovely. I might be doing something inappropriate in a public place.
What's that?
Dry humping the BMW 1300 GS.
Does look very smart, doesn't it?
Look at this! Look at this rascal!
It's very nice, isn't it?
Now, our videos are normally about 20 to 30 minutes long. it would be about 2 hours long if we tried to tell you all the gizmos on this bike. So you're gonna have to do a bit of research yourself. But the question we're asking is, do we like it? Because everyone has got different views about it. You know, some people say this, some people say that, don't like this, don't like that. The naysayers will always be naysayers. I like it. I really like it. And I like it for not reasons that people are talking about, you know. I just think it's a nice bike.
The end.
Yeah, bye. Now, this is the triple black version, which I don't like. There's a rally version, which is blue. I think that's awesome. I think there's a 719 colour scheme they do. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's a green one, but I can't remember the name.
Green.
It's a very strange name, isn't
We'll
it?
call it green.
Yeah.
If it was a lady involved in the thing, there'd be a muted cornflower in there somewhere. But we'll say it's green. The finish on this is phenomenal. I mean, look at this.
Coming in.
Gone as the aluminium looking. This looks like it's coated in something.
It almost reminds me of a Teflon.
Like a non-stick pan.
Yeah.
Awesome. All this here, look at this. All the bits that get you dirty have all been filled in.
They're all die cast now rather than tubes, aren't
I did mention that. So it's actually a solid frame. It's not a tubular frame anymore. Under here, notice if you had the 1250 and the 1200, how dirty the backs of your legs and the pillion's legs would get absolutely filthy. Apparently, they've done something to this. And as far as I can tell, all they've done is put a lip on it.
Yeah, but there is a lip in there
Yeah.
which stops all the dirt coming back up here, apparently.
Apparently, you don't get dirty. But
and you can
hang on.
You can see because the roads are really bad. And
Are my legs dirty?
no.
There you go. We've been riding it for a while. So I really like it. I really like it.
Okay.
Did I say that enough? I like it. So look at the little tricks they've got. There's no ESA on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no automatic suspension like you'd set it for one person and two and luggage and hills and mountains and all like that. All done on here. Too much to go into. There's damping, the suspension settings. Okay, and the seat is the same, but you can adjust the height of the bike.
From about 800 mil to 890.
If you have the, what's that? You gave it a name, didn't you? The suspension. We couldn't remember what it was called.
Yeah, so I think it's the automatic suspension.
Basically,
the
it
dynamic
drops down
suspension.
when you're stationary, and as you ride away, it raises up, and as you come to a stop again, how that works in a traffic jam, I don't know. But little things like this, look, are pretty. Oh, he says, trying to do it. I just don't want to bang my fingers because I know I will. If you need a little bit more of the seat, just by lifting this up and adjusting it, you can do that. It still comes off in the traditional way. You've got big grips there for your pillion to hold on to. Nice big comfortable grips for the pillion, which you can take the rubber out of. Okay, and it's got grips there, proper grips if you were going off-road. How about that? Smaller foot pegs there. Like on the GS and the GSA's got those massive big foot pegs. Got those.
And they've got rubber inserts on there as well.
That comes standard.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a set for my bike, rubber inserts, because obviously those spiky bits damage the bottom of your boots. And Cymark are doing them for 39 quid, which is cheaper than most.
Cheaper than Nippy Norman's.
Yeah. So.
And probably better because I found the ones from Nippy Norman's really slippery.
Yeah. So.
You're nearly as wide. Your wingspan is nearly as wide.
Is nearly as much as the bike. Okay,
because it is a shorter wheelbase, isn't it? Because the whole engine and everything in the engine has gone in and up.
What they've done is, whereas it was quite a long vehicle before, what they seem to have done now is they've shoved it all underneath and done that with it. All right, so people have said it looks like an NC750 Honda, which I think it does. And that might be to do with all this filling in here. It's still a boxer engine, you can't hide that. And it's a little bit higher. So on the GS and the GSA, there's a bit more space between here and the top of the tank on some of them, but not on this. So 19-litre tank. Apparently you still get the same range and mileage out of it as you do on the 20-litre tank.
It's good.
Who knows? That's interesting to find out. On the GS, you've got this, look. On the GSA you used to get that, but this is big enough for a phone.
Well, the GSA's one was kind of like where you put your key, wasn't it?
Yeah, pointless. But look,
Yeah, and I think that's really quite good because you've got your USB in there, but they thought about putting the
hiding it.
plug in so that you can then put the plug down in out the way, feed it out through this plastic thingamajig out through the hole, put your phone there and charge it. Whereas things like the RT, they've got a tiny cubby hole where you can fit the phone in, but you can't actually fit the phone in and plug it in.
Exactly. So you'll notice there's a change here.
Oh,
the keyless.
How do you turn it on, Mark?
Oh, you have to rub it.
You have to
Like
rub
a
it.
genie. You get one of these fancy little keys.
They are quite fancy, aren't they?
It's all gone up here now, so the power button is there. And hopefully, oh, thank God it's switched on.
Yeah.
Make life a ride. And it's a standard TFT screen.
Which is, sorry to interrupt, but which is very strange, isn't it? Because this is a new version of a new bike.
I thought they'd do something different.
I thought they might have just changed this or tweaked it, but then perhaps they've reached a pinnacle in how you read it and how well it works.
I don't know. But there is so much information on it. If you go to the menu bar on the left cluster, it's pretty much the same as it was on all the other 1200s, 1250s. There's this little switch here called the hamburger, which is like a favourites button as far as I could work out.
Yeah.
Is that about right? You press that and it changes to all these sorts of things.
But that's got a real different function. So this button's got a real different function. So when you're out in your normal mode, if you set it, you can press and hold it and it will come up with the press and hold setting, which you've got on as the adaptive cruise control. But then if you just use this up and down, you've got your screen. Because at the moment that button is set to the screen, but the press and hold is set to the adaptive cruise control. So you've kind of got to get your head around the fact that you've got to set the press and hold as well as the quick function. But whatever that quick function is the up down arrow. That's the functionality, isn't it?
But the cool thing about it is that they're retaining the jockey wheel. I mean, how many other bikes would love to have had this on their bikes now? KTM, they've all got
probably every bike ever.
They've got those little crosses on there, you know, and it all gets really complicated. But this is awesome. So, electric screen that stays down. As soon as you start to move away, it will pull up.
Yeah, just saying, the RT's had it for years.
Exactly. I mentioned that the hydraulic reservoir is a lot smaller.
Oh, it is.
It's a lot smaller.
Oh, it
and
is.
the brake one is a lot flatter.
Let's come around here. It is, which is good because Quadlock do a handy mount for on one of those.
Exactly.
Which would be really good.
The rear brake
Reservoir and stuff is
all hidden away under here now. So I like it. What should we rate about next? One more
while
thing.
we're over here, we all know as BMW owners how difficult it is to check the level of the oil because the little round eye piece was hidden away and we always used to go to the wrong side of the engine. Look at this. That is such a good idea. Now you really know how much is in there and the quality because that little circle was so hard to read sometimes.
It is, and it's always in a really bad place.
Yeah.
This has got a quick shifter on it.
Has it?
And they've changed the quick shifter.
What is it like?
Well, as I explained when I was riding it, on the 1200 and the 1250, it was always very clunky, very clunky. And in fact, I had two GSAs within a space of about 6 months. And the difference between that quick shifter and this other quick shifter was quite phenomenal. So they've been working on it all the time. However, and this isn't perfect, they've got a magnetic quick shifter.
Yeah, they've done something different.
Whatever that means, I don't know. You know,
they're magicians.
Between first and second gear was always really rough, and it was easy to just use the clutch and do it normally.
Old school.
You know? Old school. It is different. It is smoother, and on the way up, it's like we've ridden the XR, the XF, XR.
Yeah, the XR.
XR. They've got a cracking quick shifter on it, so this is the same now, which makes for a lot. It's funny how people don't want automatic bikes, but they always want a quick shifter, isn't it?
But that says something about the technology they've put in the shift cam engine, what they've done with this engine, because this is a twin. It's not an inline four, which is naturally smoother, isn't it?
It's a lot smoother. It sounds phenomenal.
I know there's a different tone to it, isn't there?
Really different. We'll start it up in a minute, but the engine braking is as good as any other GS, GSA, whatever it is, you know. So I really, really like that. I did say that it looks a bit more pointed. It's not as blunt as the battle
What, from the
buses.
front?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it looks pretty much the same. But this, I really like.
I'm going to come down and see if I can get into the... I mean, the light is just really, really bright. And apparently, like on the RTs, they've got the... You go around a corner and it follows you around.
Yeah.
So it looks where you're going. This does the same, but there's no mechanical stuff in there. Apparently it does it on the lean angle and the amount of LEDs or something like that it does, that it uses.
Unbelievable.
But I think that they've got a really iconic shape with that. But put the indicators on, Mark, because they are
that was
just
the next
something
thing,
else.
because they've got rid of those crappy, horrible amber light running lights that are for the American market. Don't know why you have to have them, but look at these. Look at those.
Now, I would say that you could probably see them from outer space.
You might be winding us up there, but they are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really, really
and
nice.
there is no mistaking that you are indicating. The problem that we had with the always-on indicators was that people were misunderstanding what you were telling them.
Exactly. They'll be expensive, mine, to replace. But I'm sure the companies will come and make them bigger, and there'll be add-ons to that as well. But you know, the dark fashion.
Talking about that, they are really exposed, aren't they?
Yes.
Because they're exposed, and this is just, dare I say it, I know that, you know, I'm not going to knock what they've done because I think this is brilliant, but they're a lot thicker here, a lot more robust than the normal GS and GSAs, presumably because they've got to be, but they are still plastic, aren't they? And when you look at these bits,
yeah,
you know, some people would say they look naff. I don't think they do. I think they add to the aesthetics. But like you said, Mark, there's going to be companies that will make bigger ones, lower ones, better, you know, protection for their... It's probably already started.
Come round here. Come round here. Round here.
I'm coming round here.
Look at the little triangle. I'll show it you. Can you see the little triangle on the mirror?
Oh, yeah, look.
They've got one
Hopefully
of those
you'll be
blind
able to
spot
see it.
indicators on it.
Yeah, so you won't have to go and find your own blind spot third eyes. However, the third eye is brilliant if you do fit it from Innovv.
Yeah.
Done loads of videos about it, haven't we?
Yeah.
But having it integral in there,
It's
isn't
a
that
step
good?
ahead, isn't it? How long's it taking them to do that?
And that would explain why this, presumably, is so much wider, because you've got the wires coming up. You probably see the wires underneath clipped in.
Yeah.
So they're actually coming up on the inside, this is thicker.
Yeah, definitely.
Than the other stalks, isn't it, on the other bikes?
Got the standard SOS button. Drop your bike, you come
Which
to a
emergency, please?
You got 30 seconds to press that if you drop the bike.
We've talked about the lights on the front. I think we ought to talk about the lights on the back.
Right, okay. So I'll switch the hazards off.
So these are the multifunctional lights, and they're not, if you see them flashing, it's just the refresh rate on the camera.
Okay,
however, they have done something different with those. So if I come in while might be a bit bright, I'm not sure, but you see the indicator isn't this tiny little bit now. It fills the whole space in.
Previously, the indicator was inside, the indicator was inside there.
Yeah.
So they've added this bit now.
And having followed you, it's much more pronounced. I don't think it's perfect, but it's a lot more perfecter than the old one.
You just made that word up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Are you American? They make their own words up.
But I'm not sure that I like this big black humpy thing, which is presumably for the third eye, you know, the blind spot detection.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I like the fact that they haven't got the reflector up there.
I don't understand why they've got these and not a big red stoplight. I like, that's old school, but I like it. You know, there's no ambiguity then.
You could argue that it's old school because it's worked.
Yeah. But anyway, so spoke about the tyres. Metzler Torrents next two. So thank God they've gone away from those hideous A1s, A41s.
Yeah, and that they haven't fitted Michelin Pilot 6s or 5s.
I know you're all going to whinge about them, but you know there are issues and people do know about them.
Tyres are a very personal thing, aren't they?
But this
is
a
tiny
little
can.
exhaust. Really nice. Now, these bars here are for fitting the Vario panniers too, which we can do photographs on.
We skipped over the exhaust. We were talking about the exhaust. It's a very nice exhaust. What's it sound like?
Well, I was going to get to that, but I wanted to talk about this first.
Oh, okay. Talk about that first then.
So the Vario panniers will clip in there, and they look quite nice. We'll take some photographs back at the showroom because they've got a bike fitted up with them there.
Yeah.
Who knows what they'll come up with for later versions of the bike, but
the Vario cases that they've got now fit on and they work with the central locking. So there's central locking on here, but not only that, you've got the little round clips here.
we won't try to take it off because
they're really quite stiff, but they come off and that exposes the electrical components for the connections for the boxes. Put the boxes on, and on the left-hand side, I think they said they've got a light and a USB. This side is just a light inside, but the top box, you get a light and a USB. Now, I was thinking about it the other day. How many times have I been on a tour and needed USB in a top box? And to be fair, I haven't needed USB on the bike at all, apart from when you forgot to charge your headset up or you forgot to charge your phone up. So I'm guessing it would be quite good that you'd ride along, and if you get a battery pack, that you can put it in the pannier and charge it up. So if anything happens in the evening,
I'm sure we have to say something about safety there, though, charging things in closed spaces.
Well, yeah, but if it catches fire, it's on the back of the bike, isn't it? It'll drop off.
There you go. That's safety covered. Safety 101. So, love the bike. Love it, love it, love it. But listen.
Hang on, let me get a bit closer. Now, I'm not sure how well you can hear this, but if I come out this side with your bike still running, so start up again.
Oh.
There is a higher tone. There's like a
whiny, buzzy thing.
Yeah, there's like a...
It's very, very gentle, whirry thing.
Yeah, like you said, a whiny, buzzy, like a higher pitched note. Like a wee, wee, wee. It's like, come on, ride. But the exhaust, think that's German for German music for make life a ride?
I think so. Still sounds as clunky as a tractor. It's a boxer engine, but you know, 100 years of engines, not many engines have been going that long, so I'll switch it off.
But they have thought about an awful lot. Sorry that you were going to go on to something else. They've thought about an awful lot, haven't they? Because we were looking around the bike, and down in front here, down there is like a pasty shape for those of people that are in Cornwall. If you don't know, it's like an oval thing. That black thing's got the horn in that indentation in it, but that's also helping to stop the noise come up through here to people that were complaining that it was a very noisy bike on the GS. What was it like?
You can't hear it. I had earplugs in. And I've never worried about it anyway, so people are so weird. Exhausts. Phenomenal exhaust. I'm sure you'll be able to get slip-on it. Akrapovics and other makes are available, but that sounds awesome.
Well, and they have spent millions of pounds making an exhaust that goes with the engine.
Why people want to do that, you know? So,
well, and to be fair, you could argue that why do people spend all that money on option 719, which is just making everything look a little bit blingy?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, but there's not a lot of functionality in that 719.
Really.
I'm not knocking it, BMW, but it does look nice.
It still has the forks, big old forks.
Well, it might need them because the suspension's
upside down ones. And like I say, everything is done through the TFT screen now. And an interesting point about the key is everything that's done on the bike is now stored on the key.
Much like the cars.
Like the cars. So when you go to have your bike serviced, they plug it into a thing and it can tell you all its codes, all the error codes, all the stuff. There it is, it's in that. That's interesting.
So, no more printing out of service records, no more service books.
It has different modes. It's got Enduro Pro. You don't get the little plug-in anymore that was under the seat and you had to plug it in to do that. It's all in here. Really like it. The video's gone on long enough.
What's the best bit? What's your best bit about it?
I like the light the best.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just weird, but the whole bike is phenomenal. Would I buy one straight away? No, I'd wait a bit until I need one. I don't think it's something you need to go out and buy it immediately, you know. So, give us a thumbs up if you like it. Alarms and all the rest of the specs will be put there. This is a long video, but there's so much to learn about this bike. You'd have to come and do it yourself. So
you have to do the paperwork now, you?
Oh God. We'll see you in a bit.